What is going down, squad? You know what day it is. It is Wednesday. That means this is the State of the Franchise episode with Jason Aponte. Jason, how are we feeling on this playoff edition of State of the Franchise?
Feeling like some playoff team type people, podcasters, whatever you want to call it. It's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, what a game. No hyperbole. One of the best games ever as a 49er fan. And one that I will not forget for a long, long time.
Man, we're going to be jumping all over the place. Obviously, we are hyper focused on the matchup from the Rams game that you just spoke about. We're also going to be previewing a little bit of the Cowboys game. Obviously, huge week this week. It's playoff football, baby. But let's start against the Rams. That last drive after Kyle Shanahan opted to punt.
Mm-hmm.
And, 3 timeouts left. It was looking a little sketchy. It was looking real bad there for a second. I believe per next gen stats, there was a 0.4% chance the 49ers could actually have a probability of winning that game, which would be the lowest ever in next gen stats statistics. What were you feeling just as a fan, as someone who enjoys the game? What was going through Jason Aponte's mind on that last drive of the game?
A lot of stuff. Probably things that I can't say because they have a lot of explicit content in it. But I had done a really good job all game of keeping my emotions in check on Twitter, not in real life. In real life, I was sitting here by myself, like sweating, right? On Twitter, was keeping it, okay, all right, that's it. Just tweeting things like that, trying to keep myself in check. Not saying anything too overreactionary. And Justin, my boy, man, thank you, man.
Justin coming through.
But right then in that moment, it's like, okay, we might be looking at the last drive or the last time you see Jimmy Garoppolo, or you might be looking at one of the best comebacks, the best drives a lot of us have ever seen. And that damn Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he really knows how to make it interesting, huh? And that's the signature drive in his career, and that's the signature throw of his career. Was the one to Deebo on the where he shook Jalen Ramsey, got him to move just enough the other way, and threw a dart behind him past his fingertips, and Deebo Samuel does the rest. But a lot of anxiety, heart racing, mom spaghetti, all of that. But that's the best drive of Jimmy Garoppolo's 49ers career, the best throw of his career, in my opinion, man. And the stakes couldn't have been higher. Because I know we go back to the Seattle game, week 17, but the 49ers, even if they didn't win that game, were in the playoffs. But this game, it's win or go home. Absolutely. And now, if you don't win, then we start the complete offseason cycle of wasted season. Look what happened, this and that. Well, can't complain with the decision to start Jimmy Garoppolo in this game now. Can't complain with how he was used this season because the 49ers are playing games after week 18.
Absolutely. Debbie is on point. It was a freaking game. It was an absolute roller coaster, she says, but the team and the faithful came through. Let's dive into that really quick. Rich says right here that last drive, Jimmy didn't throw a expletive pick. No, he did not. Thank goodness. It was getting a little sketchy there down the stretch. But what were you kind of thinking of when obviously Jimmy had threw that pick and then came down and rifled that throw into Deebo Samuel where Jalen Ramsey almost got his hands on it? What were you kind of thinking? Was that because obviously Deebo Samuel was kind of running open there at that last second, but based on the throw and how it worked out, you had Deebo Samuel catch it, do yak, and all that kind of stuff. Just what were you thinking about that? And then also leading into the Jauan Jennings touchdown, what did you see schematically that allowed Jauan Jennings to score on that play to tie it up before half?
So it's hard to see when Jimmy Garoppolo throws to somebody that's not on the screen, right? And you kind of just hold your breath because you don't know what's about to happen. And that's not my thing. That's Guy Haberman and Middlecoff that have said that. And I think that's hilarious because it's like you're almost just holding your breath when you see the ball go to somebody. You don't know where it's going. But what I noticed when they showed the footage from different spots and, we got our hands on the all-22 was, one, the shoulder shake, that's peak quarterbacking right there. And that's the stuff that people don't understand and the nuances of how to play quarterback, especially in such a big moment. Never lost his head. Shoulder shake, Jalen Ramsey bites just enough, has enough zip on the throw outside the numbers to get it past Jalen Ramsey. But then Deebo Samuel, that route is going to the sideline. He stopped it because he knew what his quarterback was thinking, and they were on the right page, right time. If he keeps running another way, that's behind him. If he doesn't run it the same way or does not anticipate what Jimmy's going to do, then it's an incompletion, and who knows what we're talking about. And then Deebo Samuel just working after the catch, he's literally shaking guys out of his shoes. There's 3 guys, and it never felt like any of them were anywhere near catching him before he got 10 more yards. Such a special season from Deebo Samuel. But in terms of what happened with Jauan Jennings, that was just a coverage bust. And when you watch it, what happens is the motion, I believe it was, I don't know if it was orbit or if it was jet. Either way, the motion, it moved 2 defenders to the flat, caused confusion, and the route concept sprung Jauan Jennings over the middle for an easy throw. So that's the type of stuff that when we talk about Kyle Shanahan's scheme, when we talk about how in-depth it is and how the motion, because they're the ones who do the most pre-snap motion, that's the stuff that opens things up like that. So it causes defenses that have superstars on it or very good players to completely lose eyes because they're headed this way watching one guy, and that's just enough. Once you lose eyes and then the play routes and the play develops and the routes come out on the concept, he's wide open. That's a pitch and catch easy touchdown, probably the easiest touchdown in Jimmy Garoppolo's career, man. And what a way to finish, man. The stakes couldn't have been higher. If you wrote that in a movie, broken thumb, all of that, they would say, man, that's stupid. Nobody will ever see that. Nobody wants to see that type of movie. But my goodness, I mean, he really knows how to make it interesting. And gritty performance from Jimmy Garoppolo. You have to give that man respect.
Absolutely. You absolutely have to give Jimmy Garoppolo his respect. Obviously, coming into this game with the UCL tear, chip bone in his thumb, in his throwing hand, it was like, how is he going to perform? How is he going to execute? And we saw in certain situations, like he did throw 2 interceptions. However, he was able to bounce back and come back like he always does. And again, kind of that peak moment where he throws to Jauan Jennings. And to your point, great scheme stuff there, because when Deebo Samuel went into motion, Taylor Rapp came down, the cornerback came down, and they just said, Jauan Jennings who? Because you had Aiyuk going up the post, right? And they just clamped down on Aiyuk, and it just opened up for Jauan Jennings. They talked about Jauan Jennings today being a former 7th-round pick, and they talk about his energy and how a player who is in his 2nd year, however, we really did not see him at all in his rookie year because he had the injury with the hamstring. What they're all talking about Jauan Jennings as a guy who's already being like a leader from an energy standpoint, the way he blacks out and the way he just balls out. I mean, he had a bunch of big plays in that game, especially there down the stretch. I mean, 6 catches, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns, also caught that one from Deebo Samuel. What are you seeing in the maturation process of Jauan Jennings up until this point?
That Kyle finally has his big slot that he's been craving, and he wanted to get it from many other places. And we talked about having someone who can at least duplicate what Kendrick Bourne was able to do in terms of 3rd down, red zone. And I'm not trying to all the way say that because it's only a handful of games, while Kendrick Bourne has a track record of doing it for much longer. But he's starting to fill that role admirably. And that's big, especially when everyone else is healthy. This 49ers team going into this game is going to be as healthy as they've been all season, or as healthy as they can be. Right. And he's just another piece at this point. Kendrick Bourne was that guy when, you need something at the sticks. He runs the right route. He's shorthanded. He brings it in. But now you're talking about having a guy who has this large catch radius, bigger guy, better in run blocking. The only comparison that kind of bothers me is that I've seen this floated around is, well, Jauan Jennings is what Jalen Hurd was supposed to be. Not really. and I'll explain for different reasons. Jalen Hurd was supposed to be moved around like a chess piece.
Right.
And again, utilized as Chase Claypool is. Jet sweeps.
Exactly.
Out of the backfield. Jauan Jennings isn't used like that. He's the big slot that they wanted Mohamed Sanu to be, and what Kyle's always been chasing. He tried to replicate it last year with Jordan Reed for a little while. So that comparison's off for me because Jalen Hurd was supposed to be moved around and cause mismatches. He would have filled in at big slot at times, but this whole narrative of, well, Jauan Jennings is what Jalen Hurd was supposed to be, I don't think their skill sets were the same, and I don't think the plan that the 49ers had for the both of them. And exactly, Shmurda, exactly. The way you see Deebo Samuel used is much closer to the way that Jalen Hurd was being used. Say less. He said it. I don't have to keep talking.
So, yes, I agree. Jauan Jennings is more of kind of that Kendrick role, I feel like, kind of what you're talking about, that third down, have to be that third option potentially to convert first downs and or touchdowns. He's been doing a good job. On a scale of 1 to 10, Mike asks, how concerned are we about Trent Williams? I'll let you take this one first.
Right now, too, when you hear what Kyle Shanahan said today about he's not going to practice today, but he's much better than he was Sunday, then you're starting to get yourself in the right direction. I forget the doctor's name on Twitter. He's great. He's a Bay Area doctor. He usually goes on 95.7 The Game, and he talks a lot. I'm mad that I don't know his name. I hope you guys can point it out. I know
exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, though. He's great. He talked about today that the type of injury that Trent had would be a one-game thing, and it's all based on now swelling, now how it feels. There you go, perfect. There it is, Eric. Perfect, man. Narav Panaye, great, man, great at what he does. But he talked about Trent Williams' elbow, and it's going to come down to swelling and all of those things. And he doesn't foresee it to be a problem for him to go Sunday. He was pretty dead on with his analysis on Trent. He was a lot more worried than a lot of other people were. So yeah, I'm at 2 right now. I think you're muted.
I would like for all of you guys to listen to Dr. Narav and not me. But if I had to give an honest opinion, I'm at like a 7. I'm still pretty concerned about Trent, especially with him not practicing today. Because if you go back and you watch Trent Williams interact with his teammates on the sideline in the locker room, he is barely moving that arm. And that concerns me because these football players, man, they're wired differently. They're wired to be able to play, move, do anything through injuries. I mean, I played football for a lot of years. I still move through my life. Like I'm injured, I just pretend like it doesn't exist. And to see a guy like Trent Williams really just be extremely ginger with that elbow. I've seen so many clips of Trent Williams interacting with guys. So I'm not going to lie. I'm concerned, but I'm also not a doctor. Don't listen to me. Listen to Dr. Narav. Don't listen to me. But if I did have to give my honest take, I am concerned, and I will not be not concerned until we get that limited participant in practice from Trent. But until then, we had a little bit of surprise pop up from that position. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan, when talking about Trent Williams,
Don't you talk Kyle Williams in the playoffs. Don't you mention that
name. Oh, bad slip there. Trent Williams, like they were talking about him having a chance of playing against the Rams, and we found out before the game it was going to be Colton McKivitz. What did you see from Colton McKivitz in the offensive line? Did you feel like they did an okay job against guys like Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, of course, Aaron Donald? How did you think the O-line held up with Colton McKivitz getting his first start in his career at left tackle?
All things considered, I think they did fine. And I was super worried about McKivitz because I assumed it was just going to be Jalen Moore, who actually played pretty well at left tackle against the Colts in the one game that Trent wasn't there. So, we talked about his struggles at right tackle, but that's different. He's a natural left tackle, and he's shown that he can play, against a very good defensive front too. Against the Colts, he played pretty well. The only thing that we were really concerned is that he had a penalty or two, I believe, in that game. So you hear Colton McKivitz and you say, oh, man, this guy's never taken a snap really, right? Like at this position.
Not at left tackle.
No, but he held up. He held up. Brunskill does what Brunskill does, which we'll never be able to quantify it ever. There's just I don't understand. I'll never understand. At certain points, I didn't know if Aaron Donald was on the field or not. And credit Jimmy Garoppolo when there were guys in his face. Okay, one of those throws was an interception, but man, he laid some throws out there with guys in his face. Imagine having that thumb hurting the way that it was, guys bearing down on you and having free shots at you, and you still stood in there.
But he got rocked by Aaron Donald and completed that pass to JaMychal Hasty over that while getting hit. Like he was getting hit and he was still letting the ball go and completed a pass. He stood in there and took a couple rips.
Yeah, Baldy broke that one down, and I think he's absolutely right. I think we kind of underestimate his toughness, and yeah, he took some shots, but all things considered, I was scared to death that Trent Williams wasn't going to play in this game, and I realistically, it was hard for me to see the way the 49ers would win this game without the best left tackle in the world, right? But they got it done, and they did enough, and Tom Compton continues to impress against all odds. My goodness. Brad, you need to apologize to that man. You said so many bad things while I was trying to tell you that he's great.
I already gave my apology. I gave my public apology. I think it was like after the first start. I think it was against the Jags. After the Jags.
We apologize.
I gave my public apology.
No, we apologize.
Because Tom Compton is the highest graded right tackle in the NFL right now.
Talk
a little bit about that.
And he's turned himself into a starter in this league. If he's not the guy next year and McGlinchey is back, if he wants to stay here and be a backup, that's great. But he could go somewhere and be a starter. He could. Yeah. Like, that's how well he's played. But, yeah, I mean, when you talk about the offensive line, I thought they were great in this game. They did enough. They did just enough. And when you think about a guy taking his first snaps at left tackle, it's hard not to be excited about what they did in this game, especially with that pass rush.
Absolutely. Let's wax poetic a little bit on who I think a lot of fans of the 49ers would consider Deebo Samuel to be the team MVP this year, at least on the offensive side. Deebo Samuel in that game had 8 rushes for 45 yards, a touchdown, 4 receptions for 95 yards. Obviously, we already talked about the really big play that he had on the game-tying drive, but then he also had a touchdown pass. Just talk a little bit about Deebo and his importance in that game and what he continues to provide this team from a mentality standpoint.
Stats don't tell the story, and they're mind-blowing. He played 16 games. He didn't even get the extra game. Stats are mind-blowing, and they will never, ever quantify the impact that he has on this team and the season that he laid out. This is truly one of the special seasons I've ever seen from any offensive skill player. And I'm pretty old. I've seen a lot of them. But this was special, man. In terms of impact, in terms of this team isn't in this game if Deebo Samuel isn't the one always making the play for them and saving the season in Chicago and making plays on the ball in big moments every single time you need a play. It's always Deebo Samuel, it seems like. And anything that you ask him to do, he does. And his receiving numbers took a hit because they decided to use him as a stud running back. It's just it's hard. Again, those stats, they don't tell you how good he is, how well he's played this year, what he means to this team, how hard he is to stop. Imagine being on the other side and knowing Deebo Samuel is going to get the ball a ton. And he's the big focal point. We got to stop him. You can't. The only way you could stop him is if the quarterback, whoever it is, Trey or Jimmy's just not hitting him. And he's just incredible, man. What a joy to watch. What a season. And Jesse, he tried to hit that one in Atlanta too. He tried to hit it against Atlanta too. But remember, Andrew Pasquini's actual conspiracy theory was Kyle's been trying to get him that passing touchdown so he could get MVP votes because it's a quarterback. It's a quarterback thing, right?
It's a quarterback award. You got to get him the quarterback stats.
Right. So rushing touchdowns, receiving yards, passing touchdown, MVP consideration. No, seriously. It's insane, man. It really is. And what a special season. And I don't remember seeing someone this impactful in a long time as a 49er in terms of how they do it all. Yes, we had record-breaking seasons. George Kittle, dominated as a tight end, and he dominates in run blocking. But all of the facets of the game that Deebo Samuel impacts, and the It's the attitude that he gives the team. You can't tackle me. I'm going to run through you. It's not an act for the 49ers. They're like that. They're physical. And he sets the tone. They're nasty. That's why. So, what a season. And this is one that we're going to talk about for a long time. And if he can build, I still think he can get better too. I still think that there's another level to unlock for the kid. This is his first real full season, and look at that. So, amazing season. Tip of the cap, Deebo Samuel. We're not worthy.
Absolutely. Justin wants to take a peek at the Dallas preview here. He wants to know, how will the D-line for the San Francisco 49ers stack up against the older O-line in Dallas? Can they not only pressure Dak, but contain him? What are your thoughts on that?
Let me read this again. How will D-line for the stack up against the older O-line? All right. It's got to come from the inside, actually. Where they're a little bit more vulnerable is at center and the guards, right? Like Zach Martin's a stud, right? You don't want to really mess with him, but they're center. So what you saw from Eric Armstead, that's got to kind of be duplicated, because Bosa's still going to do his thing on the outside. But I think that the pressures actually come from the inside. As long as you set that edge and keep him in that pocket, force him to step up, but hopefully he's stepping up in either to a lineman's back or a sack. So I think that the way that they get to this Dallas quarterback, Dak Prescott, is inside, actually. I mean, Nick Bosa's going to do his thing. You know that. But inside, it's got to come from inside. So you need a big DJ Jones, Eric Armstead game. You got to line him up over the center and make him work.
Absolutely. They have two like elite offensive linemen, Smith and Martin. But the rest of the supporting cast, we kind of talked about this yesterday on a live, is just their, offensive linemen. It's a unit. It's a unit within the team. It's a team within the team. And although they have some high-end pieces, the overall unit isn't as solid as, like, say, I would compare to the 49ers. I think the overall 49ers have a more solid unit that works together. So I think you're right. I think it's going to be a lot of Eric Armstead, Arden Key, especially working in the middle. If you continue to get Bosa either on the left or the right side, we've seen him switch sides quite a bit. So it could be a situation where, it could be that. Or we saw DeMeco Ryans send some well-timed pressures against the Rams that really forced some game-changing plays. Do you think there's an opportunity for DeMeco Ryans to continue to scheme it up and, help generate some pressure against Dallas with more than just rushing the defensive line?
Yeah, and he got better as the game went along. And again, kudos to DeMeco Ryans. Wasn't going well early on. 17-0. The offense couldn't sustain drives. They had to keep going out there, and the Rams were in their bag. Sean McVay thought the game was over. He was in the end zone celebrating already.
Down 17-0, out in the end zone, having a party.
Yeah, and that's how you know this game was on his mind. He wanted to win this game so badly. He was tired of it. But it's hard to, on the fly, do these things, right? And the same things that we're talking about with how many people didn't like how Robert Saleh came out in his first year. DeMeco Ryans is already showing that growth. Now you get Jauan Williams back. Maybe you can throw in those nickel blitzes as well. I thought he did a great job later on in the game, creating pressure. And Matthew Stafford was getting drilled, man. And against the number one pass blocking offensive line by many metrics. So, give DeMeco his credit, but this pass rush is heating up at the right time. And if the 49ers can come out in this next game and not start with 3 and outs or 2 and a turnover, and they're able to sustain their drives, then things become much easier on that defense. You keep those guys fresh. You keep those Bulls coming for Dak Prescott. And there's some stuff that NFL matchup and our old buddy Vic Fangio kind of dropped off that worked very well in that Denver game that the 49ers can use. And I highlighted it. Yeah, the Denver Broncos ran a bunch of man match out of their dime personnel, right? What that means is they drop a safety, they show too high, then they rotate to single high, and the safety comes down as a robber, meaning he's the guy in the middle of the field. So what happens is you have someone carry your inside slot receiver into the middle of the field, and then the robber takes him and goes the other way with it to confuse the coverages, right? Like it's not. So what it did was it confused Dak in his first game back, and Denver has some pass rushing guys as well too. Have a better secondary. They ran it out of dime, obviously, and it forced some turnovers and some bad throws. You take away those crossers that way. You confuse him and you mix it up. So I started to look back at the 49ers game this past week. Looky. Third play of the game, first third down. It was a great catch by Odell Beckham. The 49ers didn't run it out of man, though. They dropped the robber in, and the route stopped. It didn't get carried. And if you watch it again, it's on my page. The robber stops in the middle, and the route was supposed to keep going. And what happens is he's supposed to pick him up and go. Greenlaw carried him to the middle, then boom, he picks him up and he goes, which is supposed to give you different routes, but better pitching catch from Odell Beckham. So maybe Vic Fangio left us some breadcrumbs on how to confuse Dak Prescott a little bit. Obviously, they have the personnel to run dime with 6 DBs because they have a very good secondary. But man match, is one thing, but they can run cover one robber. They can run it out of different looks. They can run it out of zones. So that's the type of stuff that you're going to need, because that was a game where the Cowboys largely struggled on offense. And that's not something you can run over and over. You just have to be able to mix that in. And that's on DeMeco Ryans.
Absolutely. And we've seen teams play copycat against us. We've seen it with the way they do max protect. Started with the Titans. Texans took a little piece of that. So there's an opportunity for DeMeco Ryans to, again, he's going to go watch the tape. He's going to see what worked, what didn't. So that's a nice pinpoint there to be able to indicate a little nuance from a schematic standpoint that the 49ers could absolutely take advantage of and start getting after the Dallas Cowboys, because as we know, it is playoff week. On the offensive side, what do you think the game plan is going to be? We saw 21 carries, 85 yards from Elijah Mitchell. Again, we saw 8 carries from Deebo. No real Jeff Wilson other than in like a fullback role. What do you kind of see from the offense going into the Dallas game and how they are going to attack Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, and this pretty solid defense led by Dan Quinn? Oh,
hold on to your hats, guys. Hold on to your hats. I think the 49ers are going to try to run the ball a lot in this game. I think that the Cowboys defense is about 18th or 19th against the run. They're very high up against the pass, and that's because obviously when you get into those situations, Micah Parsons is a dog and Trayvon Diggs is having an amazing year. I don't suspect that the 49ers will go after Trayvon Diggs as much as people think. He does give up a lot of pass yards, but he does turn the ball over, and you don't want to tempt fate that way. What you do is you do what you do with many of the times that you've done it with the Rams. You run right at guys, run at Parsons, run at Aaron Donald, neutralize him, slow him down. But that all has to be in accordance with how are you moving the ball through the air as well. You got to be able to convert on third down. Can't be in these third and long where Micah gets a chance to, pin his ears back and go. And then, Trayvon Diggs is just, he's out there, he's lurking, right? Like he takes a lot of chances. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. But we always have had this discussion. People will put up with the yards that you give up as long as you're turning the ball over. And he does it at a great rate. And you don't really want to tempt fate to go with him. I think the real chess match is going to be this. Kyle Shanahan, Dan Quinn.
Yes.
I know you. You know me.
Yes.
Who is going to win? Because Kyle knows Raheem Morris. He's been on 3 different coaching staffs with him. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Washington. Knows him in and out. And knows what McVay wants to do, right? But now
Raheem Morris was even Kyle's wide receiver coach in Washington.
There you go. So 4. So they know each other very well. But this Dan Quinn, Kyle Shanahan thing is different. 2019, Atlanta had Julio Jones, kind of gave the 49ers fits. 49ers off of that Saints game, didn't have their best game. This is a better defense that Dan Quinn has now. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to shake it up a little bit. I think Dan Quinn is trying to shake the whole, it wasn't my fault we lost the Super Bowl thing. So that just adds another little bit of intrigue, but I am so excited to watch this chess match between Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan. Sure, Kyle knows Dan. Dan knows Kyle. Who is going to get the better of the other? And that's something that I'm really intrigued to watch, because I think that's the portion. It's less about matchups at this point for me, and it's more about who's going to get the drop on the other. And that's what I'm waiting for.
So I saw right before we came on, Micah Parsons talking about how the 49ers play bully ball, right? There's a bully ball mentality to the 49ers offense. And Micah Parsons didn't take too kindly to that. And He said, what was he from Harrisburg, wherever he's from, I think in Pennsylvania. He says in that town, the bullies get bullied.
All right,
And
whatever,
so
Zach Randolph.
he wants to take that mentality and essentially said, we're going to bully the 49ers. What do you think about that? I mean, the rookie, we'll give him his credit. He has put together a phenomenal rookie campaign. But what are your thoughts on that? Is that some bulletin board material for the San Francisco 49ers?
Absolutely not. Walk it like you talk it, bro. The 49ers don't act tough, and they don't act physical. Nobody needs to talk. The proof is in the pudding. The 49ers are physical. This isn't a one-week change. They're not going to change a thing for you, and they're not going to get more physical because you said that. Stop. I understand the confidence. Go for it, kid. I get you, Rook. Yep. Way to go, man. That's what you're supposed to say. What you supposed to say? No, we're scared. They're going to beat the brakes off us. No, I'm cool with it. That ain't shaking nothing over here, though. Nobody's worried about that.
He definitely didn't have to say all that, though.
I mean, that's fine. If they want to take it and get more mad, then don't poke the bear, bro. Again, the 49ers aren't just faking like they're physical.
No.
They like that.
Yes, they do.
This isn't the Rams. They like that. The Cowboys are closer to the Rams than the 49ers are in terms of being physical. So don't do it. Don't do it. I get the confidence, youngster. I get
Don't
it.
Poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear, man.
Tell me a little bit about what you continue to see from Brandon Aiyuk, who led the 49ers in tied in receptions and overall led them in reception yards with 107 on the day.
His back-to-back best days, right? The first day was 93 yards, Trey Lance, and now he went over 100 with Jimmy Garoppolo. This offense has weapons, man. I know that everybody looks at other teams and they say, man, they got this guy, and that's true. You know, like Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, those are two, man. And
they are.
I don't mean this in a messed up way or anything like that, you know. But if Michael Gallup's there, my goodness, it's even worse because he's a baller too.
He's really.
They've got weapons. The Bucs have weapons. I would argue that I would rather have the duo of Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel as opposed to Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard or Marquez Valdez-Scantling, right? The only thing that they have is that they have one of the best throwers of the football in the world. That obviously, you know, elevates them. But in terms of duos and pieces right now, these two are playing at a high level in big moments right now. And whatever the hell was going on earlier in the season with Kyle Shanahan and Brandon Aiyuk, it worked. And we could have been and we
had someone survive the doghouse. It's amazing.
Yeah, he got out the doghouse.
Nice change of pace.
Unbelievable. It worked.
It worked.
You know, we had problems with the way he was being handled earlier. Wasn't really a part of the offense, but now they're all a part of the offense. The guy who's kind of lagging behind a little bit now is George Kittle. Just a little, you know. But in terms of being able to pass block and all those things and run block, we get it. You know, like he contributes in different ways. But again, it's nice to fall back and say, okay, this game we're not going to really focus on getting George Kittle the ball because we need him to do other things. Let's just fall back and throw the ball to Brandon Aiyuk instead. Pretty nice fallback plan. But he's playing at the highest level that he has this season at the right time. And shout out to him, man, for surviving the doghouse. And shout out to you, Kyle. I'll stop questioning you, bro. You got it.
Hey, we got one to work. I think it was the 49ers have drafted 18 wide receivers under Kyle Shanahan. Some crazy number, probably misquoting it. But we've seen a fair share of 49ers wide receiver go through the doghouse and not make it out the other side. So it's absolutely fantastic that Brandon Aiyuk he made it. He went through the fire and he made it out the other side. Michael says, I think Kyle is setting up the fullback leak up the sideline with Wilson Jr. Wilson keeps going in motion to block for Deebo, so watch out for that play. I think this is an amazingly fantastic observation because I was watching the tape last night and I was seeing the same thing because Kyle's done it now, I think 2 or 3 weeks in a row where he puts Jeff Wilson on the field, but he's not putting him as a running back. He's kind of outflanked outside the right tackle or the left tackle, and they bring him in motion and they use him as a fullback, as a lead blocker, and then they'll bring a guard or they'll bring someone else on the other side of him. And then typically in those formations, Deebo Samuel's in the backfield. So I was thinking this exact same thing last night. I'm like, it just feels interesting that they keep telegraphing this play. When you see it, and you see Jeff Wilson in, they're running that same play. It doesn't matter to which side, that's what they're doing. So, do you think there could be an opportunity where this is a long game type situation where Kyle's kind of setting up a wrinkle to show something on tape from a consistent standpoint for multiple weeks and then hit a counter off it in like the most optimal time needed?
He does that, and he's done that. And when he was doing it at the highest peak, it was in 2019, where he ran the throwback to, well, first he ran the same similar formation in the play where Deebo comes and he took the jet sweep handoff and he ran through against the Panthers, and he didn't exactly hit the outside tackle. He kind of ran in between the tackles, but then they put that on film. And then in the Saints game, the Saints recognized it. They ran it. And guess what? The wrinkle was you flipped it to Sanders and Sanders tossed it to Mostert. So it definitely could be now you see it, now you don't. Here, I've been setting this up all week, 2 weeks, because I know I'm going to need it down the line. Here it is. So that's absolutely a fair way to look at it, because he's done that, played mind games many times where he'll show you a formation, show you something, and show it to you like 2 and 3 times. And you start to think you got to stop. And then boom, he's like, okay, got you, fooled you. But that's when Kyle's all the way in the back. I'm particularly, what I would like is, can this be the game that we get Kyle use check that leak throw, man? Please, can this be it? Like they
Make up for that Titans game,
right? Or the Eagles game, or the Rams game, the Eagles game from 2020, or the Rams game from 2020. Like help this man out, man. I feel like he hasn't been hit with leak since the 29th. Well, it was drive stalk or whatever on the or it was rail against Seattle, but I feel like he hasn't been hit with a pass like that in so long. So, I mean, yes, Kyle has a history of doing that, putting things on film, showing you one formation, pulling the rabbit out of the hat. Now you see me, now you don't. So who knows? That's a good observation, Michael.
Absolutely. Great observation. Let's switch gears a little bit to the defensive side. Emmanuel Moseley. We've missed that man. It was really nice not seeing Josh Norman on the field. What did you see from Emmanuel Moseley in his return, obviously coming away with that big-time interception over the shoulder?
Man, he's back. And I hate to say it, but he stole an interception from Tart too. Like they
stole it from someone. Like Tart was coming in to take it. I don't know who had the first right to refusal, but they were both going for it.
They both wanted it, but yeah, Emmanuel Moseley being back at the right time. He's played at such a high level. It was such a nice thing to see. And first game back, didn't really see anything. Gave up the one catch to Odell Beckham, I think, on that third down that I was talking about, where they ran the robber over the middle. But Cooper Kupp wasn't really killing him like that. Like, and he never really had to get matched up on him, right? Like. Mm-hmm. Ambry Thomas got hit by Tyler Higbee to put it up 17-0. Just a beautiful throw. Not really much you can do there. Jimmy Ward got hit on that corner post to Cooper Kupp. That was a beautiful throw. Not really too much you can do there. He probably could have turned his head a little bit earlier, but hey, he was in perfect position. Not really much you can do. And then Cooper Kupp was kind of largely baking on Dante Johnson when he was on him on the slot, because they were just leaving him one-on-one. And I know that a lot of people are just going to say, oh, well, Dante Johnson. Yeah, look, the best cornerbacks in the world were getting cooked by him as well, too. So, I mean, I know it lends to your jokes, but it just they tried it out earlier on to see how it was going to work, and it didn't work. So they kind of got away from it a little bit more. Like, you even saw Dante Johnson at safety after Tart left the game as well, too. It shows how versatile, shows how much they trust him in a pinch, right? So Moseley being back, Ambry Thomas obviously closes the game out, keeping Josh Norman off the field. And there was never a time where you felt like either of these guys have to come off the field for him or anything like that. Kind of makes you feel good, just because they're going into a game where they're really going to have to keep playing like that, because they have two really good wide receivers that they'll be up against as well. So good news all around. Again, this team is getting healthy, and they're going to need everyone in the secondary to slow down this high-paced offense.
Absolutely. And a great transition, too, into Ambry Thomas. Just tell me about what you've seen from him this year. Obviously, you have a unique perspective watching him in training camp up until now, and then how he's peaking right at a perfect time, like you talked about. The 49ers defense is going to be facing a pretty vaunted offense that features the likes of CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, two of the most efficient and effective route runners in the NFL. What do you see from Ambry Thomas, and how do you see that transitioning towards the game against the Cowboys?
A lot of growth. And Admittedly, I wasn't as high on Ambry Thomas. Things that I had seen, but I had never once said that he can't get better. He just had an uphill battle to climb. And that's the thing. Brad, sometimes rookies get better with reps. And it
Really?
always felt like, yeah. And it almost
Interesting.
felt like he was one play away because he was always in position. And you saw it game after game. First game, okay, not so good. Next game, better. Next game, better. Next game, better. You're stacking good games now. And now that interception puts you in a position where, okay, I belong. I'm confident, right? Because there was times where he was in the right spot to play the ball, just didn't have the confident hands to go up and get it and rip it out. But now your confidence is at a all-time high at this point, and it couldn't have happened at a better time because you're going to need that. You're going to need that to don't play, don't think, just play and move. And he's going to start to get to that spot the more that he continues to play well. It's been very fun to see his growth, and I mean, some Cowboy fans on Twitter think that the best way to beat the 49ers is going to be to throw at Josh Norman. That's a bold strategy to throw at a guy who doesn't play. So I mean, they're thinking outside the box for sure. But Ambry Thomas has put that idea on the back burner. We're not going to see much of Josh Norman unless something bad happens. You're muted.
I'm pretty happy about that. Not gonna lie, it's one of
Yeah.
my greater developments of the year, and I'm really happy to see Ambry Thomas really stepping into that role and filling it out really well. But on that defensive side, you know, the Dallas Cowboys offense have some pretty good runners with Zeke and Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with Dre Greenlaw coming back, Kyle Shanahan talked about Dre Greenlaw. Like I don't know if I've heard Kyle Shanahan speak about a player like almost in the way that he spoke about Dre Greenlaw today, talking about he looked like Mike Tyson out there. And if I was a fan, I'd be wearing a Dre Greenlaw jersey. Like, what did you think about all that? And how do you see the linebackers with Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, the potential to get Azeez Al-Shaair back going up against pretty solid runners with the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, Greenlaw was playing like his hair was on fire, and I feel like he had an opportunity that he saw in front of him, but he's got to slow down a little bit. The personal fouls, chill out, right? Like I understand the passion, but play with controlled aggression. The personal foul face mask. He thank God he wasn't called for body slamming Cam Akers.
Yes.
Still sometimes over pursuing and missed tackles, but he was great in this game, and that's good. He understood what was in front of him, and he took advantage of it because Azeez wasn't in there. The point of Azeez and him and Fred being on the field, and if they are able to play as well as they have these last few weeks, and getting Azeez back is huge because his run defense has been top one the last few weeks, and they haven't been giving anything up to anybody, is you're going to need them to keep the safeties high and back and be able to bracket just in case. Maybe things don't go so well for Ambry Thomas. Maybe you got to mix in some cover two. Maybe you got to bracket a little bit more if CeeDee Lamb is starting the ball out. But you can't do that if you're dropping guys into the box because the run is effectively beating them. Now you're at a spot where you can stay in base and still have two highs and still not worry about being gashed. It creates this flexibility for this defense that is a luxury that a lot of teams don't have. The Rams do that, but the Rams do that because they're stubborn and they don't care. They're just like, we don't care. Just run the ball on us or throw it in front of us. We're just not going to let anything up over our head, and then we'll have enough points on offense to eventually beat you. Yeah, look how that worked out. But if you're able to snuff the run out while you have two high safeties and take care of your rookie cornerback, because Mosley doesn't seem like he needs that much help. Even though Thomas is playing very well, you never know how games are going to go. And Amari Cooper runs amazing routes, and obviously we know about CeeDee Lamb. So it's impeccable that it's imperative that they're able to stop the run while keeping those guys up there so they can stay flexible, show different looks, and never get pigeonholed into one look for the entire game.
Absolutely. My man's a spitting right now. Jamal says Ambry Thomas got to be getting work in the practice field in the red zone. Expect Dallas to look for him in the red zone. Example, the fade to Higbee. Would you agree? Would that be something that you are going to be having your eye on, something you're going to be watching? Obviously, we talked about the wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, he's one of my favorites in the league. Obviously, Amari Cooper. And you got Dalton Schultz at tight end, who's actually been performing admirably, and Cedric Wilson, former Boise State boy. What do you think that Ambry in the red zone is going to be something that they're gonna have to key on and make sure that he's not getting beat over the top in those situations?
Absolutely, because if you're the Dallas Cowboys, no matter all of those good things that I said about Ambry Thomas, you're looking at two matchups. You look over there, you see Emmanuel Mosley. You look over there, and you see a rookie from Michigan. Who are you going to throw at?
Yep.
And that's no disrespect to Ambry Thomas. It's just the lesser of two evils. And
Emmanuel Mosley went through the same thing when he had Richard Sherman on the other side. That's why Richard Sherman
exactly,
was never targeted, because they just went after Emmanuel Mosley the entire time.
exactly. It's not Dallas disrespecting. It's smart, right?
Yeah.
Like in the same way that when you look over Trayvon Diggs or that guy, yeah, that guy, we'll throw at him. You know,
We're
we're
gonna
not
go
gonna
the other one.
we're probably not gonna try that guy. You know, and that's where it's at. So I expect Ambry Thomas to get a lot of work this week, and they're gonna test him to see where he's at, and they're gonna see if that confidence carries over. So yeah, Jamal, this is a great example right here. And that fade again, just a good throw. You know, a little bit out of position, but he'll learn, and hopefully, they're working on that, and they saw that because you can bet your ass if the Rams saw it, then Dallas saw it, and they've got a guy who catches red zone passes. Dalton Schultz has been really good this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Dalton has absolutely grown into his role. A Stanford kid from out here in the Bay Area, former third-round pick. So I actually don't mind seeing him thrive. He just can't thrive against the San Francisco 49ers. Um, talk to me about Dak Prescott. Like let's do a little segment on Dak Prescott. What you see from him? What is your evaluation of Dak Prescott? And is he kind of the pinnacle for that entire Dallas team in regards to putting up a really strong game against the 49ers and trying to take the 49ers down? Is it Dak, or would you say maybe it's a combination of run game plus defense? Like how would you look at it?
It's going to be Dak, and this run game will be fine, but I have confidence that the 49ers can slow that down. And what he's done this year, his ankle was on the other side of his shin last year. And
Yeah.
what he's done is downright impressive. And wouldn't be upset if he won comeback player of the year. I know a lot of people, maybe Burrow, maybe Bosa, but what Dak has done this year has been remarkable. There's been ways to slow him down, which is why I looked at the Denver game and other times where teams have been able to scheme things up and kind of get him out of his sorts. But when he's on, he's on. And, it's going to be a tall task just because he's so good pre-snap, post-snap, really good at both of those things. I think that's what is lost on people with Dak and his arm, right? Like people are just like, oh, wait, doesn't have really a great arm. Really? I don't know, man. I've seen him rip some throws. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's going to fall on Dak, and it's going to come down to how do the 49ers contain that? And what are they doing? Are they getting pressure? Are they forcing Dak into quicker decisions than he wants to get into? But Dak's been great. And, throw out the opponents. Obviously, they beat up on the Eagles backups. And the week before, they beat up on Washington, who was more – they were more concerned with being physical with each other on the sideline than they were to being physical with the Dallas Cowboys. But at the same time, they're rolling in the right direction with that offense. So, yes, it's going to fall on Dak, and it's going to come down to how do the 49ers slow him down and what can they do with the pass rush.
Absolutely. And now it's time to poll the chat. I want to hear from the chat specifically right now about score predictions. I want to see how confident the 49ers fan base is right now that the 49ers are going to come out and get a win against the Cowboys. So now drop all your score predictions for 49ers versus Dallas in the chat. We'll pull them up. We'll see what the vibe is looking like. But while that's going on, Jason, let's talk a little bit of just about this rivalry. Let's talk about Dallas versus San Francisco. What does that rivalry mean to you specifically?
Gets my blood boiling because I'm old enough to remember this. I remember the years where whoever won Dallas 49ers won the Super Bowl. And that's just what it is. This is how it goes. And I'm happy that it's back to this. Newer 49er fans dislike the Cowboys because there's a large amount of dissent and dislike towards the Cowboys as a whole. And the way that I attribute it is I basically am a fan of the Cowboys in baseball, the New York Yankees. And when the Yankees lose, the people in Kansas City, people in Oklahoma, people in Illinois, people in Florida, they all celebrate. And that's how people feel about the Dallas Cowboys. So a lot of the younger 49er fans have that going for them, right? Where they just like, well, we don't like the Cowboys at all. And that's fine. But for the older crowd, man, you know, beating the Cowboys was the start of a dynasty. I wasn't old enough for that. Let's not get crazy now. Like, you know,
Let's not get too crazy.
let's not get crazy. But the first team that I remember disliking was the Dallas Cowboys because 91, 92, 93, 94, you know, like the 49ers and the Cowboys met every single year. And the Cowboys were getting the better of them until Deion Sanders showed up. And they got it done. And then, you know, you talk about the greatest receiver in Dallas Cowboys history. I'm wearing his jersey right now.
Let's go.
Jumping on the star.
Oh, yes.
You know, that's like the last really big rivalry moment that we had from them. And then because even Emmitt Smith was still playing in that game. Yep. After that, it kind of just went dormant. You know, you had the game where Romo in 2012 with the punctured lung came back and beat the 49ers in Candlestick. You have the game where the 49ers went to Jerry World and they took over and you know, Kaepernick won that game. You know, you have last year Dalton beats Nick Mullins, and it's just none of those games.
Barn burner that was.
Right. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. But none of those games really stack up, right? Because either guys weren't healthy, teams weren't in the same position at that point. So now here we are. And here's what's funny. Guy Haberman also pointed this out too. The 1995 NFC Championship game, or the 1994 NFC Championship game, one of those two, is still the 5th highest watched football game in NFL history. 49ers Cowboys is what this country wants to see. And I'm just happy that it's back like this. It's going to be super fun, man. I'm juiced. The shit talking is back and forth. It's happening like crazy. It's back. I love it, man. This is what I'm talking about, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun, but this means a lot to a lot of 49ers fans and a lot of Cowboys fans. It means a lot just because of, you know, who are the two teams. But yes, I also wanted to get one more shot in. Yeah, Terrell Owens is still the best Dallas Cowboys receiver of all time. So.
Doesn't it just feel like there's just some extra juice surrounding this? Now, I get it. It's a playoff game. The 49ers haven't been to a playoff game since 2019, and, you know, a couple year hiatus. But it just felt like when the second we found out that the Dallas Cowboys were going to be the matchup for the San Francisco 49ers on the week of the 40th anniversary of the catch, which was the pinnacle moment that springboarded the 49ers dynasty, you know, way back when. Doesn't it just feel like there's some extra juice to this game? Like, again, all the things that we're talking about just feels like there's some extra energy into it.
Yeah. Michael Irvin feels it. He's scared to death. Listen to that man talk. He's scared to death. Anytime anybody asks him any questions, I don't want to play them. No, not the 49ers. No.
They're trying to reverse jinx it. That's what he's
No. That man's sweating.
No, they are.
That man is sweating. This is not a good matchup. No. Listen to that man.
Yep. 100%. Justin says Thomas has progressed in games versus really good wide receivers. Also, not just some scrubs. Yes, he's played against A.J. Brown, Brandon Cooks. Obviously, you got Cooper Kupp, too, and a little bit of action. So 100%. Thomas, did you see that video where Adam Peters embraced Ambry Thomas coming out the tunnel?
Seems like that was his guy, right?
That was his boy. That's what we're hearing. That's what we heard, that Adam Peters did, in fact, draft Ambry Thomas. Could you imagine going through that, Jason? Obviously, we're big into the draft. We like scouting. We like doing mock drafts. We like doing all that stuff. But could you imagine one of our draft crush, one of the boys that we indicate, we're like, that dude's going to be a stud. You draft him on your name. He comes into training camp. He's not very good. In fact, he's really bad. like oh my gosh, like we can't even get him on the field. We have to get Josh Norman on the roster. We got to start Dante Johnson over this guy. And then to see that progression for Adam Peters to make the game sealing play in that moment, just like what did you think about that, man?
That's got to be a really good feeling because nobody ever drafts who I want anyway. So who cares about that? Like I'm never gonna, like I'm gonna start saying other people should be drafted. I'm just gonna start saying other people, right? Just hoping that like I reverse psychology, get that back in there. But then
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be on Twitter. No, but you wanted this guy. No, it's a game. It's all right. I've been yelling Javonte Williams. Who cares? I'm not drafting him. I wanted Terry McLaurin. Who cares? I'm not drafting him.
Oh, Javonte Williams who in this offense. Sorry,
with Elijah, man, that'd have been the 1-2 punch, man. But hey, whatever.
that would have
It's
been
fine.
insane.
Shout out to Elijah Mitchell. What a season as well, too. Almost 1,000 yards, missed 6 games. Incredible season, man. Unbelievable. But yeah, that's got to be a great feeling for Adam Peters. And again, we talk about it and we joke about it. Our son, our prince, our boys are growing up.
Yep.
Like when we talk about that, and I'm sure when we get down to Mobile and we get to dig in at the Senior Bowl, which I can't wait for, Brad. I'm super juiced about that. Also, we get to talk to Coach Robert Saleh. We get to meet Dan Campbell. So the Senior Bowl is going to be super lit this year, man. I'm super excited now. Like last year was something, but this year it's going up to 10. Because now we really get a chance to talk to, I'm definitely going to ask Coach a 49ers question.
Ooh.
Yeah, I definitely am.
I like that. And then we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it going. You got to craft up a good one so I can just plaster it all over my platform.
Right. Like, no, I'm gonna get a good one in. Like, Dan Campbell. I want to observe Dan Campbell. I want to learn about his coaching methods and everything because I feel like we gave him a lot of grief when he starts talking about biting kneecaps and everything. But what if under there is a good coach, man? Because like the way he gets that team to fight, yeah. So I'm so interested in getting into that. Maybe that's why I was so gutted about Brian Flores being fired because I'm just like,
that was a shocker.
I'm just like, dude, I watched this man at the Senior Bowl, and you guys ever seen Goodfellas? Paulie might have moved slow. But that's because Paulie never had to move for anybody. And that's like Brian Flores. Like he walks around as like a menace. Like and
statue just
like
stoically looking at practice. Like
he's not saying anything. He's not yelling or anything like that. Like when we were covering the Zoom, they were like, any questions for Flores? I was like, I'm not putting my damn hand up. I don't want to ask him anything. He's gonna rip my face off through the screen. But no, I mean, it's got to be a good feeling for Adam Peters. If that's your guy, you put your staple on him, and then to see him come up in the biggest moment and the biggest game of the season, I can't imagine that feeling. And it's got to be a great feeling for Adam Peters.
Absolutely, and we're close. We're getting close to that part of the year where we flip the page to draft season, and that's one of Jason and I's favorite seasons. As you know, we're talking about going to the Senior Bowl. We're doing all that. So Justin says, just want Brad to check out George Karlaftis, destroyed the name, edge with speed in the draft, every down 4-3 guy. Off topic, sorry guys, no worries. I wrote it down on this post-it. My guy Justin hit me with the Kyle Hamilton last a couple days ago.
He hit me with a safety too.
Yep, so we're gonna put that on the dang post-it, and I will take a look at that because I came away liking the first prospect he threw my way. So he's hitting 1,000 right now, so we like that.
Shout out to your DraftKings lineup too, bro. Let's go. Let's get it.
As we get back here on track, talking about just what this week is, what it means, how fun is it right now to be talking about playoff football rather than recapping potentially one of the wildest years we've ever experienced as 49er fans and now two people who cover the team?
Probably should have ended this way, should have gotten here this way, right? Like it couldn't have gotten here more chaotically, right? Broken thumb. How's this guy going to play? Justin, you're the man, bro. I appreciate you. Broken thumb. How the hell is he going to play? 17-0. Rams at Levi South. And then against all odds, Jimmy Garoppolo comes out, and that might be the signature Jimmy Garoppolo drive. And another thing, he talked about it. For anybody who is of an opinion of something else, he talked about it. This is the last dance. He knows. Yes. Kyle Juszczyk knows. They admitted it. They said it out loud. There was a little bit of this is it because he knows it's a business, and he said it. I know what's going on behind the scenes. He knows what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. So it's fitting kind of that he not only goes out, at least in the regular season, this way, but also cements his status as a starter in this league. Because if you were a general manager or someone who is a regime and you were a little bit skeptical on Jimmy Garoppolo, the toughness and the grittiness and the gutted out right there, that's the type of stuff that you're just like, okay, maybe I'll take a shot on this guy. He has 1 year left on his deal. We'll take a shot. And he's still a starter in this league, no matter what anybody says. And that game is going to go a long way in determining his trade value, because there have been lesser quarterbacks who have done much less in bigger moments than that have gotten fair trade compensation. Think Sam Darnold, think Teddy Bridgewater, think plenty of guys. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a commodity next year, and this start is going to go a long way into cementing that draft stock, whatever it is.
Well, think about this marketing aspect to the value of Jimmy Garoppolo. Now you can sell to your organization group. You can sell to your fan base. You can sell, hey, this guy can be a great stopgap quarterback while we draft the quarterback of the future and place him behind Jimmy Garoppolo. Look at how he handled the Trey Lance situation. Look at how he handled helping that young quarterback come up to speed. We didn't hear 1 ounce of drama come from Jimmy Garoppolo himself about the quarterback position. We heard drama from everyone else, but the actual man in the middle of it. That could be a selling point to franchises who need a quarterback. Like you said, he's got the 1 year left on the deal. It could be a situation where, like, okay, we like what we saw. He's definitely, and if he does more in the playoffs too, he's only going to be building that value more. So it's going to be another interesting leg of the offseason. The Jimmy Garoppolo saga will continue, and we will be talking about Jimmy Garoppolo a lot. Just, is he going to be as a 49er, or is he going to be as a trade piece? And I guarantee you, San Francisco 49ers want that first-round pick back that they gave up for Trey Lance. So if they can somehow swindle a team, and that is in no way disrespect towards Jimmy Garoppolo, but just to get a first for Jimmy after all that, oh, that's a win in my book.
Hey, Pittsburgh Steelers, you can run the same offense for the small price of a first or second round pick.
Yes.
Just saying, guys.
Small little token. That's it.
Small little first round, second round, and this man can continue your pursuit for being in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs now, but this is Ben's last year. So hope you watch Pittsburgh Steelers. That's grittiness right there.
Justin says John Lynch about to fleece the Giants for Jimmy and get payback for Odell trade. And if you don't know, John Lynch was heavily involved in trying to get Odell Beckham from the Giants. They opted to trade him to the Browns. It's on record saying that the 49ers had a better package on the table. Gettleman just did not want to send OBJ to the Niners because he knew he would thrive.
And he wanted to go there.
Yeah, and he would send him to the Browns for his career to die, and it almost did. And then he got out just at the last second. Now we see him having a kind of reemergence with the Rams, but not enough against the 49ers. Now, I would be remiss, Jason. I can't believe I almost probably went this entire episode without bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Gould.
Yes.
NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Mitch Wishnowsky goes down. He's in the concussion protocol. 49ers actually signed a punter to the practice squad this week. Tell me about the kickers. Tell me about the special people on this team, the specialists, Jason. You're our kicking expert around here, so I want to get your take on this.
I know we joke a lot. You know my stance, but look, man, that was invaluable. He was doing things that Mitch wasn't even doing. Down in balls inside the 20. His first punt was 33. Yeah, his first punt was 33 yards. His next one was 40. It just, if anything, it gets an apology from me to Rob Gould. Apologies. But it gets me back on the whole, why did you draft a 4th-round punter if Robbie Gould can do this in a pinch off the rip? Like, why are we not doing this more where we have a place kicker and a punter? Why do you need 2 of them? And why did you draft him in the 4th round? So when he did that, proud of Robbie Gould, got me more mad. Like, I hope Mitch is good, right? Like, concussion is nothing to joke about. But that just proves my point. A 4th-round punter for a place kicker who's never punted for or hasn't in a long time to be able to do that in the clutchest moment, You just made my argument for me about why this shit had never happened in the 4th round, dude. I don't get it. I don't but apparently today in the press conference, Kyle Shanahan talked about when they didn't know what was going to happen with Mitch, Robbie was punting, and that helped, and it came up clutch in the right moment. And again, I know we joke a lot, but apologies, Robbie Gould. Without you, man, I don't know where this game is because you're able to put them on the other side. We've seen games where either place kickers or punters aren't there, and they keep going for it on 4th, and they lose games. That's how Washington lost to Seattle because Joey Sly got injured, and they had to keep going for it on 4th. They would have taken one field goal. They would have won that game. But you got to give it up to Robbie Gould. But realistically, that makes me more mad about the 4th round pick for Mitch Wishnowsky. Like, I really don't understand it, dude. And if this new dude, if let's say Mitch doesn't play this week, and this new dude comes in and he's booming punts off the street, I'm just going to flip my table, bro. This is what I'm talking about. A 4th round pick? A draft pick? Why? But shout out to you, Robbie Gould. You absolutely deserve it, man. And that's, I think, his 2nd of the year, special teams player of the week.
Yes. And I kind of agree with you. I've always thought that same thing. Now I get it. They have, enough players. They can have specific positions. And I know there's a lot of intricacies that come along with being a specialist that, I might not prop up and elevate. But I agree. Like, why can't kickers punt the ball too? Like, that's just like, what's the difference? Like, literally, we've been to training camp, and like the specialists sit in the corner of the field, and it's 3 of them. It's Tabor Pepper, it's Mitch Wishnowsky, and it's Robbie Gould, and they just kick the entire practice, and that's all they do. It's like, well, why couldn't one guy do that? But that's a conversation that we can have another day.
Shout out to Tabor, great snaps, and also shout out Kyle Juszczyk for being able to hold in a pinch. Is there anything that this man can't do at this point?
No, I love it too, and I love Hightower talking about it today at the podium and how he brought up that Kyle Juszczyk has been practicing holding. Breaking news?
Yes, sir.
Drop it. You got it first.
Let's go. Trent Williams to play Sunday. 49ers starting left tackle says he intends to play versus Cowboys even though he didn't practice today. I told you, Brad.
Let's go. Hey, thank you. Thank you for walking me back. I told you. Don't listen to me. I'm just nervous. That is huge. What is that going to mean for the 49ers? Obviously going into a must-win game with a pretty stout defensive line. You got DeMarcus Lawrence over there on the edge. You have some good I think Gregory's still over there. You got some pretty big pieces. What does that mean, obviously, to get Trent Williams back in the mix?
The best in the world. You don't got to worry about your blind side, Garoppolo. And Godspeed to the man that's going to get locked up and thrown in jail this weekend that's going to keep going up against him. So let's go, my boy. I knew that he was going to be back this week. There was no way. I mean, obviously something had to be really wrong for him to miss this game. But again, Doc talked about it on Twitter that it was a one-game thing. And I don't know, man. I saw him vibing on that IG Live with everybody, singing along and rapping to that Kodak, So I kind of had a feeling like I was like he gonna be back, man. And here we go. That's it. I mean, again, the 49ers are walking into this game as healthy as they've been all season, or as healthy as they can be. You're looking at Tart, Ward, Mosley, Thomas. You're looking at Trent. You're looking at Compton and Alex Mack and Brunskill and Lincoln. Elijah Mitchell, Jimmy's obviously healthier. Kittle, Deebo, Aiyuk, Bosa, Armstead, DJ Jones, Samson Ebukam, Aziz, Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. It's all coming together at the right time. And most of the time when teams go on runs, it's for 2 things. You're playing your best football at the right time and you become the healthiest. And those 2 things might be colliding at the right time for the 49ers at the right time.
Isn't it crazy that like a team that we associate so much with injury, and especially this year, again, first game of the year, we lost Jason Verrett and Mostert. 2 of the, like, when we looked at the beginning of that year, we looked at those 2 players as being key contributors to the success of the 49ers getting into the playoffs. Well, now it's here. 49ers are in the playoffs. What is it? Like, obviously, it means a ton, but the fact that they're healthy right now, do you think that does something from a mentality standpoint, too, heading into this game?
Hell yeah. I mean, they already felt like whenever the 49ers play their football, they're going to be a difficult team to beat, no matter who's the opponent. But now you have the best in the world coming back. As long as you continue to execute, don't shoot yourself in the foot, no penalties, limit the turnovers, and play your game, then the 49ers have a shot to beat anybody on any day. Came seconds away from beating the Packers, even though they didn't have their best game to start. That's a team that's in the playoffs. So right now, getting all things clicking, getting everybody back, yeah, I mean, it's a big confidence boost. So, if I'm Jimmy Garoppolo and I'm worried about my thumb and my blind side, well, I worry less now. Trent Williams is there. There's going to be a man thrown in jail this week, whoever it is. And they better rotate people unless they want somebody who's just going to be erased all game. But Trent doesn't give it up ever. Ever. You never hear his name called, and you never hear somebody constantly beating him. You might get 1 or 2 pressures, but you're getting thrown into the cell, bro. So it's big.
Yep. And so this is from Ed Werner from ESPN himself. He says, I spoke to Niners left tackle Trent Williams, who missed practice in last week's game against the Rams with an elbow injury. He made it clear he intends to play Sunday against the Cowboys, believing a brace and adrenaline will offset any remaining issues with the elbow. Can we get some W's in the freaking chat? Drop all the damn W's in the chat right now. I want to see it lit with W's because, Jason, you know me. Trent Williams is my GOAT. That is my boy. So I couldn't be more excited about this. I'm so happy. Like I told you, I was nervous. I was scared. Like, I watched those videos and I saw something else. I was like, oh, my God.
7.
I need this man. And let's go. We got some Cowboy fans watching the live in the chat. We see you, family. We see you. But I'm so excited about this, man. That is huge news. Man, it just feels like things are headed in the right direction here for the San Francisco 49ers and all that energy. Well, if you had to give a score prediction, Jason, what would it be?
Right now, 49ers 31, Cowboys 21. I just think that they're going to do enough to control the clock, not turn the ball over, not put Jimmy in a bad spot. Obviously, pass protection is going to be great now in this game. No real issues on the left side, anything like that. Tom Compton continues to play it the way that he does. Elijah Mitchell's able to run the ball, and they're able to get what they get from Deebo Samuel. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to put up that many points, especially because what they want to do is what the Dallas Cowboys struggle with, which is run the ball.
Absolutely. So I like that. I like that score prediction. I think that's pretty in the realm of possibility of what it could be. I kind of feel like it's going to be a close game. It just based on the Rams game and how everything goes. I imagine it could be another close game that comes down to the leg of Robbie Gould yet again. Hopefully Robbie doesn't get hurt because clearly we need him at least.
Right.
All that good stuff. Don Burr says, Brad, this is for you. Jason, bang, bang. Niner gang. We appreciate you, Don Burr.
Our favorite Lions fan. And again, if you're in here talking crazy, just make sure you come back because we'll embrace you with open arms. Don Burr's family now, right? After week 1, he was in all our lives, and now he's family and we root for them. So, you know what it is.
I love it, man. Don Burr was in our lives all offseason talking about that week 1 game, about how Detroit Lions versus everyone. And here we are at the end of the year. The boy's still around. We see you, Don Burr. We appreciate you. Man, I'm beside myself. I'm so happy by that news because literally I was very concerned. I did not know what the outcome was going to be. So I'm really, really excited about that. Anything that we haven't touched on, Jason, that you wanted to hit before maybe we break away here?
No, just Elijah Mitchell was great in this game. And man, just reflecting on this game, when you look at stakes, when you look at what was in play, this is one that I'm going to remember for a long time against all odds. And we'll have a discussion again.
If you had to rank this game,
yeah, see,
would this be a top 5 game for you?
Yeah, for sure. And I have the unpopular opinion that this was a bigger game, or one that I'll remember a little bit more than the Week 17 game against Seattle. And again, here's why.
Ooh.
Here's why. Look, I get it. The 49ers needed to have that game so they could be home, buy all of that stuff. The Seattle stuff, we hate them because they largely own us. I get it. But this was win or go home. And they were down 17-0. In that Seattle game, they were holding on to a lead and trying to stop something that happened over and over and over again. Now, in this game, you were asking Jimmy Garoppolo to do something with a banged up thumb, and how that game went that not many people foresaw. And a lot of people were calling for him to be benched. A lot of people were already firing up their fire car. You made the wrong decision, all of those things.
Oh, dude, there were spaces popping up before the game was over about, oh, you messed up. Oh,
I had to just put my phone away, dude, and just watch the game, man. That was it.
Like, y'all never been here before, have you? It's really showing. It's showing.
It's funny, the parallels between these last 2 weeks, right? Texans game, offense is kind of not really clicking. They get 3 going into the half. Boom, the offense gets rolling. Rams game, offense isn't really clicking. Obviously, they're down a lot more. Boom, offense gets rolling after they get 3. And Kyle Shanahan was setting up his jab, and he was like, okay, outside zone not working. Boom, let's get their ass with inside zones, and let's use your over aggressiveness against you. And that's why they create all those cutback lanes for Elijah Mitchell, for Deebo Samuel. That's what they like when he's handing the ball off backwards. It's to give him a second to let the over pursuit happen and the cutback lane to come back. And then Elijah Mitchell was running tough. So again, Kyle saw some things that he could exploit, and he was largely. Obviously, he can't control the interceptions. The one that Kittle was forced, and it bounced away, and Ramsey made a great play. But largely, he picks apart, he sets up the jab, and then he hits you with the haymaker. So, I mean, this game was incredible. It had it all. I'm just not ready to watch it just yet. But my Apple Watch told me 5 times, your heart rate is over 120 BPM and you're not active.
Technology, bro.
And I was just like, shut up, watch.
Down.
I was just like, shut up, watch. I was like, I'm trying to watch the game, man. And then like Averly walks in and she's like, I want some cereal. And I'm just like, I'll get you some cereal at the commercial break. Like, you got to give me a minute, man. Like, but this is one that I'm gonna remember for a long, long time. Just when you think about the stakes, the circumstances, and the storylines, right? Kyle had to make this work. Had to make this work with Jimmy to go with him and get this win. You had to make the playoffs. Otherwise, everybody was going to kill you for not playing Trey Lance. You had to do it with this banged up thumb, and you had to throw yourself back into the game, right? Like 88 yards, you're not able to run the ball anymore. Like, they know what you're trying to do, and you still were able to do it. This is one that I'm going to remember for a long time, and it's high up on the list for me.
Absolutely. Did that win, that last minute drive, did that demolish a narrative that was about to be the only thing we talked about for about the next 6-7 months about the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo thing? Was Jimmy Garoppolo able to help destroy that narrative for an entire offseason?
Done and done. With the new playoff rules, only one team was going to get a playoff bye anyway. Everybody else was going to be playing this weekend. So, whatever. You could say this team should have been 12-5, 13-4. That's fine. Ifs and buts, but they're 10-7. And against all odds, they did it. And in that moment, you did the thing that people were saying, okay, I don't agree with you starting Jimmy Garoppolo over Trey, but if you start Jimmy Garoppolo, you better make the playoffs. You better have double-digit wins. Right. So it did squash it out. It did. So, yeah, I mean, it was this close to being unbearable on that app. Unbearable. But even right now, the most ardent Jimmy Garoppolo opponent, or they even had to say, man, that was some legend shit right there. And he and he did it, and that's it. Like, all of your criticisms of Jimmy Garoppolo 72 hours before still ring true today. But if you can't find yourself clear right now of giving him credit, then you are too far on the other side of being objective, and that's the problem. Right. So all of those things you said before are still true. That doesn't wipe them away. Right.
Right. He is who he is.
Right. But the grittiness, the toughness, the clutch factor, when you needed to have it in that moment at the highest stakes, you have to be able to give that man credit. And you can still say all those other things and still mean the credit that he deserves when you give it to him.
we got some of those no love lost in the comments right now, but was that kind of experience between the 49ers driving down the field there, kind of in that last drive. And then you see the sail throw to Kittle into triple coverage. And then he makes that Ramsey makes that crazy bobbling interception. And then Jimmy comes back and leads the game tying drive and then ultimately wins the game in overtime. Is that Jimmy Garoppolo like in a nutshell?
Had to make it interesting. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. I mean, even the most faithful 49er fan had to feel like, okay, I think that's too much for them to overcome now at this point.
It was nuts. I didn't have any hope. I'm gonna I've seen some people talk about it. Like, if you've been a 49er fan for a while, you kind of your heart is hardened a little bit. You kind of have this like
nothing
PTSD
could hurt me.
Scars, and you're just kind of like sitting there waiting, like, oh, a win is possible, but I'm preparing my emotions now for an epic loss. And that's kind of what it was going through it. But, obviously they came out on top. Cap speaking says the spicy sourdough dynamic duo. Don't know if this was brought up already, but did y'all catch Michael Irvin on the Rich Eisen show? Cowboys shook. Jason spoke on it a little bit earlier, but I didn't see it, Jason. I'm
not just there either.
Look at it right after this. What was he saying?
I don't like this matchup. Anybody but the 49ers? No, man. Why? That man's scared. He got I'm not looking at the comments because, I'm just going to let everybody else duke it out in the comments or whatever. Like, I'm good. We're here to talk football. We're here to talk whatever we're here to talk about. But even the strongest Cowboy fan, deep in their heart of hearts, damn it, anybody but this team. We don't match up well with this team. And Michael Irvin echoed that almost on every radio hit that he was on. I think he did KNBR, similar sentiments. Same thing with Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen in their group was saying, this is the team nobody wants to play. And yeah, Michael Irvin, he y'all can puff your chest out all you want. You know in your heart a little bit. You're like, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this.
They don't want this smoke. They're trying to puff their chests out on Twitter. I see some
fans.
Oh, we want all this smoke. Like, you do not want this smoke.
I mean, you do. Your team doesn't.
Yo, no, they do not. Not at all. Not even close. Brittany Brown says, 2 best in the biz. Appreciate that, Brittany. Mild Oponte, how's your daughter doing?
Great. Gave her a big hug after the game. And she said, Daddy, why are you so sweaty?
The Apple Watch notification started going crazy after that.
I threw the watch on the floor. I was like, "Shut up, man! I don't care." And I went right to the post game. Popped that bottle, and I started just having a blast. But yeah, thank you for asking, dude. Brittany. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. She says, Brad, SDS for life. Did it seem like Jimmy has more zip? Which I'll speak to, but I want to hear Jason first. Cowboys D. Looks like they over pursue. What do you think about that?
So the throw to Ramsey was, the shoulder shake got it, but you had to have zip to get it by him, and you barely did. I don't know where the hell that came from, whether that's adrenaline or those painkillers they shot him up with. But I mean, he did throw the ball down the field in this game. And here's the thing. Cowboys defense looks like they over pursued. Kyle Shanahan's great at doing 2 things. If you're over aggressive, I'm going to use it against you. If you're not aggressive enough, I'm going to use it against you one way or another. If you're not pursuing well enough, we're going to beat you to the hole. If you're over pursuing, then we got the cutbacks, and he's going to find a way to get that done. I implore anybody out there who wants to understand. Somebody who's smarter than me wrote an article about how the 49ers got back in the game and how they attacked the Rams on Football Outsiders with film clips showing that when they went from outside zone and they went back to inside zone and they were able to use their handoffs in creative ways, they were creating the cutback lanes and they were beating the Rams to the spot. So that's the thing is Kyle Shanahan will jab you until he sees it. And when he sees it and he's able to attack it, that's when you start to see the run game click a lot more because it seemed like the Rams were all up against trying to stop the run. But what Kyle did was, okay, they didn't gash them last time they played. They ran a bunch of inside runs, right? Elijah Mitchell, 27 for 91, wasn't exactly tearing it up. But he said, okay, you probably think I'm going back to that. We're going to go outside zone this time. But the Rams were ready for outside zone. So he said, all right, we're cool with that. Let's go right back to inside. And Elijah Mitchell was just – it seemed like every time somebody was in the backfield, had a hand on him, he still wound up getting 3 and 4 yards at a time. And I couldn't believe it. Like, he was running so hard. What a season from him.
I'm so happy with his development. I mean, I think you and I and like Jordan, Splash Cousin, and we've been quick to point out that Elijah Mitchell is still a developing back. He's still when he showed up on the scene, he was producing, but you could still see he was leaving a lot of yards out on the field. The last 2 games from Elijah Mitchell and how he's running, I was so happy watching the film last night. I talk about it with Raheem Mostert all the time. What makes Raheem Mostert so special is he has this ability to throttle down behind the line of scrimmage to watch his blocks get set up and then punches into gear and bursts through the hole and uses that speed behind him, and then the power comes along with it. I love that from Mostert, and it was something that I really wanted to see from Elijah, and I saw it. I saw him take a step. He did a little chop down to basically drop it into neutral, allowed the hole to open, and he hit it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is
It's
what I've been
happening.
wanting like the whole year, and he's doing it, and he's done it 2 weeks in a row consistently. Like you're saying, it feels like the dude is impossible to get down on first contact. Like he is just going to plow his way through, and it really is a lot of fun to watch. It's something that I've been pretty excited about. But also too, one of the things you were talking about when they're trying to do this outside zone, mid zone game, it's like they hit the outside and they showing you they want to hit the outside, but then they have the wrinkles where it's like it looks like a pitch. They're actually doing a pitch motion, and it's almost a counter back inside. Like it's so good. That's why I talk about Mike McDaniel a lot. Like a lot of people like to crap on him for his press conferences, but that is a smart man, and that's his baby. That's his stuff right there. Absolutely love to see it.
Shout out to Bobby Turner too, and some bozo on here
Yes.
wanted Javonte Williams.
Some
Whoever the hell that was should just shut up.
Hell,
and stop
even
talking
Michael
football.
Carter too. Michael Carter was your boy, dude. I love Michael Carter, man.
Dude, it's funny, the two guys who led missed tackle percentages in PFF, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams. Wild how that stuff works, huh?
Wild how that stuff work. And we saw Michael Carter up close at the Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl.
And he proved to us that stature was not an issue at all. Not at all. You love to see it. So we can't wait to see more of that. Justin says getting Panthers Niners 2019 vibes.
We want all the smoke. Remember?
Oh yes, McCoy in the huddle.
Mm-hmm.
We want all the smoke.
Cowboys legend, Gerald McCoy.
Yeah. Oh yes, I'm loving it. Let's get to that point of the show.
It's Cowboys week, boy. What you talking about?
It's Cowboys week. We're just hyped now at this point.
What about?
We all are now.
We're done with the analysis. Analysis is it.
We're
We're done with it. Now let's get back to it.
Yeah, dude. Oh my goodness. So what's the vibe, Jason? What are you thinking? What are you feeling right now as we get to this point in the year? Obviously, this is the we made it a season doing state of the franchise episodes, Jason. We started around week 7. I mean, we talk about it all the time. The 49ers have won a lot of games since we started this. I don't know. Might be onto something. But I'm excited for a lot more state of the franchise episodes, especially this year, right? Yeah. We got to keep that going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not done. I think we ain't done yet.
Yes.
And I don't want to stop. So, I mean, one way or another, you know how it's going to go. But, we got a lot of football to still talk about. Excited to cover a playoff team for the first time since we started doing this. This is a lot of fun. Yes. We were just 1 year late. We were just 1 year late to the party.
Yep.
1 year late. Like we would have started the year before. We'd probably be out of here right now.
Oh, dude, we subs will be through the roof right now if we started in 2019.
But everything happens for a reason, and I think that it was good that we did it that way because we learned the content game and how to come up with content when the team wasn't exactly in the playoffs. And now the content just feeds it to ourselves because the team, 1, usually has some crazy stuff going on in the news, but 2, continues to play football, and it won't stop. I don't know what the frequency of this show will be in the offseason, whenever that does come. But that Mobile content, man, straight from the Senior Bowl, that's some stuff right there, man. We ain't going anywhere. Like we got a lot to talk about, and yeah, Brad, since you and I started this, I think the 49ers 6 wins, 7 wins, something like that, right? Like
I'm just saying. They put together that run there. Like when we started doing this, it was bleak. It was fire. It was fire Kyle Shanahan. It was fire DeMeco Ryans. It was fire John Lynch. It was get rid of everyone. Trade Kittle. Like it was crazy around here. But we made it, Jason. We made it. The 49ers are a playoff team. We can officially say that with our whole ass chest. The 49ers are a freaking playoff team. Unbelievable. Absolutely love it. Cap Speaking says, Jason with the TO jersey. The spice is in full effect. He ready. Oh, yes.
All I've been doing all week is pulling out the 90s stuff. Pulling out the Cowboys merch, right? Yesterday, wore the paintbrush Niners hat. Day before, broke out the shark tooth Niners hat. I still got more. Because I'm like that with the old fan stuff. Like, I still got more. We got 2 more days worth of stuff, 3 more days, because I'm probably just going to do Saturday too. Like, this is no time to stop at any point. But, yeah, I thought I would come on and wear the second greatest receiver in the history of the game and the first greatest Dallas Cowboys receiver of all time. You know, Michael Irvin. Nah, bro. Not you. Not Dez. Not Dez.
His name goes by T.O. You freaking love to see it. Guys in the chat, you guys were legendary today. You guys have been legendary all season, especially doing our dual streams that Jason and I do with both our channels. So it's really cool because it's a little bit of a molding of both our followings, and it's really cool to see you guys interact. You guys always bring the freaking energy in the chat, and we really, really do appreciate it. Jason, where can we ingest more of your content this week? Because I see it on my numbers. People want all the 49er content they can get. So where can they find more of your content?
Yeah, right here on the bottom, Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter and Jason Aponte on YouTube. So this week we're trying to line up something really special for Sprint Right Option. But tomorrow, you can catch me on every single favorite 49ers show, Grant Cohn's show. I can't wait to hear what this man is going to try to throw at me about this game. And I'm probably going to have to tell him to chill out because there's no way you can really slander the man that I'm sure you're probably going to slander on this show. But love doing that with the homie. And then Friday, Sprint Right Option. And then Saturday, we'll probably do something like we'll just take questions from you guys maybe on the channel and just, and just see how it goes. But, when the content's right there for you, you can't take your foot off the gas pedal. And this is an exciting time for all of us, especially after that win and going into such a high stakes game with the hated rival.
Absolutely. It's a high stakes week here in 49ers land. The content is going to continue to be through the roof. Make sure you tap in with Jason and get all that additional 49ers content. I'll be doing a film breakdown in about a half an hour. So if you guys do want to stick around and join me for that film breakdown, we'll be doing the offense at about 3:30. So we'll be tapping in, but we do appreciate all you guys as always for the support. This show has been so much fun. And again, it's big part so much fun because of you guys. And I guess before we head out, we got one question, and maybe you might know, Jason. I don't know too much about Tart's injury. Any news on how serious the injury is?
It was a groin. It was something that happened during the game. He was limited today. If I was going to give it a guess, that Tart's going to play. He's going to play through it. They're just going to shoot that thing up, and he's going to get a shot. And he's already limited right now, so that's a good sign. Not out. So yeah, they're going to need Tart in this game as well too. But yeah, I think from everything that I'm hearing is that he should be all right.
That's good to know. Obviously, Kowalski has been a huge impact to the success of this defense, along with Ward and the rest of the guys. Obviously, getting Emmanuel Mosley back will be huge. And as we heard on the stream, Trent Williams intends to play. So amazing news. Amazing news. So again, 49ers are as healthy as they've been, it feels like, this year. So that's really exciting. Again, thank you guys to who have rode with us all year. If you're new, thank you for sticking around and vibing with us. We really do appreciate it. We will be back next Wednesday, no matter what. So hopefully it's under the right circumstances. And until then, you guys be good. We'll see you on the other side. Peace, everyone.